Hi friends, and welcome. My name is Jill, and this is Jilly Beans Creative Candy Jar. It is my channel on YouTube where I talk about all the creative things I get up to in a month. It is Monday, June 29th, and this is FlossTube Craft Tube update for June. I'm just skating in with an update. And it's Monday night, so I'm not used to this lighting, so I apologize if the lighting is not so good. Doesn't look bad, so hopefully it'll be fine. I hope everyone is well. June was an extremely busy month for me. We had a lot going on at work, and in fact, I was really surprised how much I actually did get done. There were some epic fails creatively, and some great finishes. So we'll talk about those in a bit. What else has been going on? Like I said, work has been really busy and all good. Everything will close by tomorrow, so I can breathe a sigh of relief. In fact, you could tell yesterday when I got the last piece of documentation in Sunday night that like my whole body just was like, okay, my part of what has to happen is done and I'm in good shape. There were nights that I came home and literally would sit on the deck and did nothing, no knitting, no nothing. I just kind of just sat there and was just in my space until my husband would say, "Do you see them?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm going in." I don't want to say it's irrational because it's not irrational, but I have a real fear of bats. Growing up, we lived in a lake area in New Jersey, and remember I told you I was like 63 years old, so like I was a young girl in the late 60s, early 70s, and the boy across the street, he was probably in his 20s, had really long hair. Yeah, a bat got stuck in his hair, and he ended up in the hospital for over a month getting tons of shots and stuff. So I have this horrible fear of a bat getting caught in my hair. Now, is he going to try to make a nest in my hair? No, but I still have this fear, like if there's a bug near me, will he dive bomb me and get caught? So yeah, there have been nights that like if we sit outside, I will put my hair in tuck it up under in a ski cap because I'm not afraid of a bat getting caught in my hair. I know it's a little flaky, but it is what it is. So yeah, I would sit outside and do nothing for a few nights, but that's okay. It's all good. But I did get a lot of other things done. So I have been wanting, I probably put a picture at the beginning, a quilt cupboard for a long time. And I've looked and I never really found anything. And then I saw one on Wayfair and I was like, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And it was very reasonably priced. So I'm like, you know what, even if I get it and it only have it for a few years and it's not really what I'm looking for. I was looking for like an antique piece. So I talked to my husband. He's like, just get it. And I'm like, should I spend the $90 or should we put it together? He's like, no, we can put it together. And I'm like, in hindsight, spend the $90 for them to put it together. He opens the directions and he's like, look, it says do it with a friend. You'll have fun. Yeah, I don't know about that. It was fun. We had a nice afternoon and like there was no fighting or anything. But remember, 63, getting up off the floor at 63 is not as easy as it was when you were 23. So we had quite a few laughs, but it's all put together and I have a few quilts in it now and I really like it. So that's good. We went to New Jersey, 2 nieces that graduated from college, one with her undergrad. She had a graduation party. And then so it was good to see her. We went to the party. It was a lot of fun. I got to see my family. And then my other niece who graduated with her master's degree was there. So it was nice to see her and congratulate her in person. So it was just a really fun weekend. It was quick, down and back, really quick. So it was a great weekend. So I didn't have a lot of creative time, but I did do a lot. So as always, we start with my knitting. So as you can tell, I'm not wearing a knitted item today. Actually, it's after work, so I had some things going on at work, so I was going to bring something to show you guys. I will link it down below. So a bunch of friends have started either getting back into knitting or have picked up knitting, and I think it's wonderful. I love knitting. I find it extremely relaxing, and it's really, really portable. So I was going to show you a hat, which I couldn't find, but it's a free pattern, and I will link it below. I can't even show, I'll put a picture in here. And I'll even put a picture of what I did. And it's cables, it's kind of an advanced beginner, so it's a great pattern for those getting back into knitting, to just kind of refresh your skills. So I will link that. I thought it was a really good pattern. I have been working on a couple of things. So I was working on this sock. This is a very simple, plain, kind of vanilla sock with a little bit of a ribbing in here, a little cuff. And this was for my mom, so I brought it with me to New Jersey, and she tried it on, and she's like, it's just a scant too short. So ripped the toe back, added a couple more rows. And as you can see, I keep, I don't know if you can see them, there you go, stitch markers. And I put a stitch marker every 10 rows. And what I do is, I will show you on this here. So whenever I want to count my knitting, you can do little check marks on a piece of paper, or you can use what I call a traveling stitch marker. So in my new sock showing you, I will start the next row, I'll put a new stitch marker, and each time I knit a row, I move the stitch marker. So yet another example here. This is a different project, and I'll show you. So here is my distinct beginning of round stitch marker, or anything. In this particular case, it's not in the beginning of the round, it's in the middle of a row because I'm knitting flat at the current time, but I wanted to count, because my fear is if you put the little check marks on a piece of paper, you could lose the piece of paper. Or what happens if you've made a mistake and you have to rip it back, and now you've written on your pattern a whole bunch of check marks, but you have to cross them out, and then you get, I find it to be messy, and I find it to be confusing, so I do this instead. So here is my distinct beginning of round stitch marker, and you can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Guess it would help if I move my fingers. 5 stitches there, and then a traveling stitch marker. So I've already done 5 rows, and when I go past it the next time, I'll move it over 1, and I will have been just knit the 6th row. It's just the way I find it easier to count. So it's really helpful when you do socks, because you want your 2 socks to match, and I shouldn't say most, I should not assume that everyone is as bad as I am. I very often don't knit the second sock right away. So the other thing I do is, after I've knit the sock, I send myself an email with all of the details of what it is, and the subject line is either the colorway or who the sock is for, so that all I have to do is go back and search for that email. And it's usually on my phone, so if I'm out and about and I don't have a piece of paper with me that told me all the details, it's on my phone, I can look it up, and I know that, hey, for my mother's sock, I needed to do, 74 rows and then do the decrease for the toe, or whatever the deets were. So that's that. Those are my 2 little tips on counting and keeping track of things. But this sock is a very simple sock. It is being knit with, where's my little, this is Fairy Ring by 3 by the Sea, and it's I am not going to do a separate colored toe for my mom. That's just not her jam, but there will be enough, because it's a shorty, to probably get, and I didn't use any of this, I'll be able to get a second pair of socks. Pretty simple, straightforward. My mother has a pretty narrow foot, so 60 stitches on a size 2 needle, and just crank, crank, crank. So continue to work on that. The second sock I'm working on is with my friend Nisi. We both got, I'm calling mine the Liberty sock, the Military Family Colored Way by Mandy's Making. and I can't find the little tag there. Sorry about that, folks. And it's, if you follow Nisi on Instagram, she posted a picture of her first sock is done. My first sock is not done, so that'll be something I work on this weekend. And I did a little shorty tab sock. This is a free pattern. This heel is not the heel that's in the pattern. Perfect example. You don't have to do the heel that's in the pattern for a sock. You can do whatever heel you like best. I personally prefer a heel flap and gusset. That's what this is, a heel flap with a gusset. I have a pretty high arch, so a fish lips kiss heel or an afterthought heel, they just don't have enough depth for my comfort level. So, and it's all about what makes you happy in your sock. And now for my epic fail. If you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, you should, please do. My handle there is Jillybuck, and you'll see I posted a picture. I knit the entire body of the sweater. I knew the answer. So I was not, as much as I was disappointed, I was not shocked when I went to knitting on Tuesday night. So, tip number 2 for the video. When you knit a sweater and you've knit, that tells you to knit the body of the sweater to whatever length you want. And then most of the time the directions is to bind off, whether you're doing a rib or whatever you're going to do. Don't start that yet. Put the body of the sweater on either waste yarn, barber cord, sketty, whatever it is you're going to put it on. Knit the sleeve. Or if it's a long sleeve sweater, knit a good, maybe not quite to the elbow, but a good chunk. If it's a short sleeve sweater, knit the sleeves. And the reason for that is because when you put a sweater, a knitted garment on without sleeves, it sits differently on your body. And once you put the sleeves on, the draw around your shoulder is going to be different. So the underarm is going to pull up a little bit because you're going to pull it in to pick up those stitches to knit the sleeve. It's going to bring the sweater up a little bit. So you may have decided I want it to hit at this particular spot on my body. Once you put the sleeve on, it shifts. So just a little word to the wise. Obviously I've done it before where I've done the bind off and then went, yeah, it's not long enough, and I have to take out the bind off and put it back on. So highly recommend putting on at least one sleeve. So I was working on the Angelina tee, which I didn't bring the pattern, and this by no means is a criticism of the designer. I will be knitting that pattern again at some point. I just need to do a little thinking because it was a whole new way of constructing a pattern for me, or a sweater. It was a saddle shoulder, which means you come out this way first and then you build the raglan. I've never done anything like that before. I learned a lot doing this, even though I had to rip the entire thing out, and it was sad. So here's a picture of me in it, and then here's a picture of what it looked like after I cranked it out. And I went to knitting on Tuesday night and I put it on, and the girl that teaches the class and one of my friends looked at me and they're like, I'm like, I know it's not right, is it? It's too big. So because, as I've told you before, I'm busty and I adjust things, and I did, but I didn't take into account, because I never had constructed anything this way, that because it came out here, I made the front larger, but it caused it to come out here bigger. So there was this almost like triangle of excess fabric here in this part of the sweater, and then again under the arm. So I will do it again. I thought the pattern was extremely well written. I really enjoyed the increase. I really enjoyed the saddle shoulder. I'd knit the top. I'd start up this section 2 sizes smaller next time, and then just increase to what I need it to be. So it is on my list of things to try, but I couldn't go back to it again with that particular yarn, but I found a different sweater. So I have decided to knit the lounge room. What is it? The Lounge Room Raglan, and this is by Amy Shear, and it's another extremely well written pattern. So for my friends that are getting back into knitting, I'm just going to look here. Nope, this is just details. Look for a pattern that has a good schematic. Her Ravelry post shows the schematic page. There's nothing better than a good schematic, because then you can really see how is this constructed? What are the measurements? Take your measurements. Nobody cares what they are. They really don't. And it's not something you should do for yourself. You should definitely have a friend, a partner, someone else measure you so you know your measurements. And you probably should do them every year. I fully admit I don't do them every year. I probably do them like every couple of years. Because your body changes. Even if you don't gain or lose weight, ladies, gravity. It's a real thing. So things move and it's just your body changes. So it's always good. You're going to spend a lot of time and money constructing a garment. You want it to fit and you want it to be something you're going to be proud to wear. Spend the time, get your measurements. Nobody cares what they are. Also, nobody cares what size you knit. So I was talking with some friends the other night, and it's like, I did the math for this based on the gauge of the fabric I liked. I did not get pattern gauge. Pattern gauge is 26 stitches. I got 24 stitches. I don't care what number in the pattern of small, medium, large, extra, whatever. I think this particular pattern goes from A through I forget how many. It's pretty size inclusive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's got like 12 sizes. So I don't care where I am in that range. If I get gauge for a fabric that I like and I find a size that I like, I get gauge, do the math. I pick the size that gives me the bust measurement closest to the size I want to get based on my gauge. I know it's a lot, it's girl math, and I'm happy. You know what? Maybe I'll do a little tutorial on how to do that. But there's tons of them out there. Kogut does an incredible version of, getting your gauge and finding the right size pattern in the pattern based on your bust measurement and your gauge. Don't worry about that you normally wear a medium if you're not knitting a medium in that pattern. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares. So, that's me on my soapbox about take the measurements. Having had to rip something out, I get it. So I did restart. So I started this. I started a couple times because I was having a hard time doing make one left and make one right for my raglan increases on the wrong side. Not something I do very often. And I was doing them backwards. I kept getting these bumps. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And then I went, doing them backwards. So by no means am I a professional knitter. Please do not take this as me saying, oh, I'm so good. I am not. But even people that have been knitting for years have to go to Google and look things up and like, what was that direction? How do we do that? So if you're new and you're coming back, don't be afraid to ask. I had to ask how to do this because I was like, I've never done this particular stitch. So, but yep. So this one is knit flat for a little bit. And then you're going to join in the round, probably about the difference between the back and the front is about 5 inches. So it's a small little scoop. And then I will crank away, hopefully. Fingers crossed that it works right. So those are the things that I've been knitting. I think that is all of, that's all my knitting for today. Shall we talk a little bit about some cross stitch? Cross stitch wise, much more successful this month. And don't fall off your chair, but I have 2 FOs, two FOs and 1 FFO. Can you believe it? So let's start with our fully finished object. So this, you'd seen all the pieces stitched last time, but I assembled my Biscornu. This is from the Land That I Love book by Teresa Kogut. I started it at Library Stitchers this year in April, and I finished it, stitching it in May, and I assembled it in June. So it has been out on display, and I put a picture in at the beginning, and I really, 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 really like this. So I love a Biscornu. I just am like, I just love how two squares come together to form this really funky shape. So that is done. And then for, oh, I did have my card with all my details on it. Yep, I started it on April 11th. I finished the stitching on May 30th, and then I assembled it in June. And the blue fabric here is 18 count, picture this plus Ariel, and my cream is 18 count Thornfield. And they're both, yeah, 18 count, so they're 8s. I just thought it would be easier to assemble them. All of the called for flosses, but put in different places. There were some places like these were supposed to be the darker red. I like them the lighter color. So I just kind of, all of the same floss, just moved them around. And the two FOs I have, I've cut the backing fabric to assemble them into little pillows, but it was such a beautiful weekend that I didn't want to be inside. So the first one I have finished is Land of Liberty by with Thy Needle and Thread. It's stitched on 36 count Dust Bunny by Fox and Rabbit with, I think, most of the called for. Might have made one or two substitutions. And that's that. And I started this, hold on a second. Yep. I started this on February 7th with some friends, and I finished it on June 4th. So I did just one for June. If you follow Emma from Being East Stitchery, she's did this a couple of years in a row now, and I was like, this year I'm gonna do that. So I did that. So that's that one. And number 2, I did Freedom Flock by Plum Street Samplers, and this is stitched on, let's put a piece of paper behind it so you, there we go. This is stitched on 36 count Palomino by Color and Cotton, and I started it on March 18th. I finished it on June 20th, and this too will be a little pillow. So like I said, I cut the backing fabrics, but it was too nice of a weekend to be inside. Did I show you the front of that or the back? Because when I just put it down, the back was facing up. So hopefully I didn't show you the back. So that's that. Because wouldn't that be embarrassing? And I have 2 whips. So not a lot of knit. Well, I did do a lot of knitting. Oh, I didn't tell you this one. In knitting, when we take something out, in cross stitch we call it frogging. In knitting we call it tinking, which is knit spelt backwards. So instead of K-N-I-T, it's T-N-I-K, tink. So I did a lot of tinking, and actually I didn't do it. If you ever have to take a sweater back, it's always better to have a friend do it for you. And we just cranked it back onto the ball winder and swift, or the ball winder. I didn't even go back to the swift. So my 2 whips are both new starts. And I told you about one that I was originally going to save it to start it during Shark Week, but I couldn't. I really wanted to start it. And that is the Deadly Aquarium. So I picked this up at Library Stitchers. I actually started it on May 31st. And it's in this incredible octopus bag by Lisa Harvey. Handcrafted by Harvey. That's what she goes with. And I love the bag. And let's see. It is being stitched on 36 count Luna Moth by Stitch Me, also picked up at Library Stitchers. So not a big start, but a start nonetheless. So, and I think that's kind of showing true over on this side here, that greenish color. So I just literally started working on the frame of the aquarium, and I will take this back out during Shark Week. And then my other new start is, I'll put a picture here because I have the PDF, and this is Ocean View, and it's going to be a drum, and it's by Tiny Modernist. And I went to the Stitch Night at Stitch New England on a couple weeks ago. I think it was the 19th we were there, and Stephanie and I were there. So watch Stephanie and stay looking to Stitch New England, because Stephanie potentially could be teaching a drum class this summer if everything works out. And I would like to, I've made a drum before with Stephanie. Do I remember how to do it? No. But I'm sure I could figure it out. But it's always more fun to figure it out with friends. So I'm hoping to have this stitched in time to get it for the class, if she does the class. And this is how far I got. I started this on June, literally the next morning, because I got the fabric and all the floss at Stitch New England that night. And this is being stitched on 36 count Atomic Ranch, and the fabric is Hatter. And I love the whale. Look how cute he is. So if you've follow Because We Stitch, and you should, my friend Kathy is also doing it, and she's sent me a couple of texts with pictures. Oh my God, she is an incredible stitcher, and she is so fast. If she isn't done with it by the next time they film, she'll be done with it shortly after, because she is like making lots of progress on that. So again, this is Ocean View. I'm probably going to leave the row of houses out along the top. I haven't made a final decision. But I think I might just do the banding and make it like a sandy color at the top, and then white underneath for the ocean. So we'll see. We'll decide. That's a later problem for me to try to decide what to do. So, you know, and it's funny because sometimes I have no problem spending the money to buy the supplies, but there are some times that I'm like, you know what, why do I need 2-inch margin on either side here? What, you know, I think originally she said to use a 2 or a 3-inch margin. I'm like, I'm making a drum, I don't need that much. So I'm cutting it really close on the sides, but I'm okay with that because I'm going to put it together. If I was going to send it to a finisher, then yes, I would put the extra fabric there for them. But since I'm my own finisher and I will have to deal with anything that I create as a problem, there you go. Sewing, so that's all the cross stitch that I've been up to. Sewing wise, I haven't done a lot. I've got a lot of things cut out, and I think I told you that I had made these little pillows last year. So Hands-On Design and Summer House Stitchwork collaborated to do the pillows with the bands, with the stitching. Well, I didn't have time to do the stitching, but I had the pillows made, so I literally, and I couldn't find a ribbon that I liked that matched. I literally took a piece of white fabric, cut a couple of strips, folded it over, sewed on the edges, and made my own, and literally just tacked it underneath. So eventually when I do the banding strips, those will be replaced. So that's all of the creative things I've gotten up to this month. Should we see if I purchased anything? Give me a second, I'll go get it. Okay, not a lot of purchases this month, although I was looking at my informed delivery today and I went, I don't know what I purchased that's coming from Texas that's arriving tomorrow. And no, it's not my 1, 2, 3 stitch order, because that I just ordered yesterday, so that won't be here until next week. So I don't know. We'll find out tomorrow, won't we? I have some yarn coming, but no yarn this time. but I did pick up a few things. So I went to Stitch New England in June, not just for the Stitch Night, but another time, because for my birthday, my son gave me a gift card, and I knew what I wanted to get, and I told him I knew what I was going to get. She didn't have it in stock, and that's okay. I found something else, but I didn't use my gift card. I saved it for what I told my son I was going to use that on. But I did pick up December stitches. I just love a good clothesline. I was gonna say I don't like to do laundry, but I actually don't mind to do laundry. I actually don't mind to iron. I just love a good clothesline, and I thought this would be, I think the pieces individually on perforated paper would be really cute too as a garland, but I think I'm gonna stitch it on fabric and make it into a drum. So I picked up all of the DMC and a piece of fabric, and I picked up from Bestitch Me Hearthstone, and it's 20 count, so we'll see about that. I also ordered some, and I haven't even opened the bag, some crinkle ribbon that I thought I would be using on my 2 patriotic finishes, so that came. And I think I've told you how much I love Sweetwater Fabrics, and I belong to their, I don't know, box of the quarter. I think it's quarterly that it comes. So this quarters box came, and we have got a little jelly roll of fabric. Not even a jelly roll, I don't know what they call that. And then 5-inch charm squares. And then the projects that come in this month's box are either this cute drawstring bag, which potentially could be something I do because you can never have enough bags, or this quilt, and it's kind, and actually you can see it on the back too. It kind of reminds me of people that go underwater. What are they called? Not snorkelers, scuba divers. Brain not working well. It kind of reminds me of like nautical flags and stuff that you would see with scuba divers. So we'll see. I don't know what I'll do. I don't know if I'll do either of those projects. I might just put it in my collection because I just really like their fabrics. So we'll see about that. Plan-wise, summer is in full swing. It's finally getting warm here in New England when I can drive to work both ways with my convertible top down. It's a good day. Definitely today, the rest of this week, it's going to be really warm. We're coming up to, if you're here in the United States, you're coming up to the 4th of July, and my sister and my niece are coming to visit. They're coming up Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night. Friday, my son and his girlfriend are both off at work. My husband and I took the week, a couple of days off on either end to hang out with my niece and my sister. So we're all going to go to Newport for the day. So that should be a lot of fun. A lot of car knitting time there. So I will get some knitting in. We're just going to hang and relax. My niece and my husband do coffee talk. They've been doing it for a few years now, where they go to different coffee shops and they do little reviews, only published amongst the family. They're pretty funny, but it's just become their thing that they go to coffee shops together and try different things. She loves to kayak with them. She's very good to my husband. Well, all of my nieces and nephews are good to my husband, but he's also very good to them. So they're going to go kayaking. We'll hang out. It's going to be beautiful weather. We'll do a cookout for the 4th of July. So that's like family plan. So I don't know how much stitching I'll get in. I'll definitely get in some knitting time, because when we sit quietly, my sister and I both enjoy our 30 minutes of quiet in the morning outside with our coffee. We don't talk to each other. She reads, I knit. We just kind of have, it's like that moment of peace with nature. And so we'll do that. And at night when we're playing games, I can always work on a sock or something. So hopefully, fingers crossed, I have some positive knitting to report next month, not negative volume of knitting. I do have a baby sweater that I need to cast on. I might do that tonight or tomorrow. Colleague of mine at work, he and his wife are expecting their first child. The moment he told me they were pregnant, I knew what I was going to knit. When I found out what his wife's favorite color was, I ordered the yarn because I knew what yarn I wanted to use. Have I started it yet? No. The child is due in August, so I better get my act together. I always knit like a 2T size, so it's not critical that it's done as soon as the kid's born, but I do like to gift it shortly after they're born. And then cross stitch wise, I am going to participate in Christmas in July, and I am going to work on, I think I showed you guys last time, this Santa Advent by Madame Chantilly. I think that's who it's by. It is. I just think it is so cute. So I have my fabric, and I have decided, as much as I would love to have a project bag that matches every project, I don't, and I just haven't had time to make them. But I do love a good thread bed, so I will probably make myself a thread bed for this. I've got, and it's all DMC, so I have my DMC pulled. I haven't decided which fabric I'm going to use yet. And since I put these two fabrics in there, a lot more things have come in, so maybe I'll have to audition a few other things. But right now I have a choice of Fox and Rabbit Inca or Fabrics by Stephanie Toasted Coconut. And I think I'm leaning more towards the Toasted Coconut, but I'm not sure. I'll probably have to try them both with a couple of these lighter colors because there's both white and ecru in it, and I want to make sure that they both show on them because it's did I go with 36 count or 20? Yeah, nope, actually they're both 28 count. So there's, because that I think was my concern, was that on 36 count with one strand sometimes white doesn't show. So we'll make some decisions on fabric in the next day or two and get those ready to go. And what I actually wrote notes today. Can you believe it? I wrote notes. Usually I just come on and just babble. So we talked about Christmas in July. Oh yeah, I want to finish my mother's sock. It would be nice if I got those done for her. And those are the only things I think I'm going to work on over the next couple of weeks. It is prime outdoor knitting time for those of you who are knitters. I can cross stitch outside, but you know, sometimes if you're cross stitching off your iPad, you don't want to leave your iPad out in the heat. I love to sit in the sun, so that doesn't bother me, but I don't like my iPad to be in the sun. And then sometimes stitching off a piece of paper outside, you know, with the wind or whatever, but I can knit outside. So we'll see how far I get with those things. Be well. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys at the beginning, if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. My son is still baffled that people actually come and listen to me babble on about what I do creatively. If you're here in the United States, I hope you have a nice, family-friendly, fun 4th of July weekend. Else, Canada, no, France. Geez, nothing like not knowing your history, Jill. I hope everybody has an enjoyable July, stays cool. I know Europe is going through a lot with heat right now, so if you're in Europe, stay hydrated. And I will be back at the end of July, hopefully with lots of cool things to show you. Bye.